Greetings, it's Vanessa-Mary back again. I've already got one viewer, which might be my mum. So anyway, welcome back to Leading with Heart. It's a summit special. And this is where I've recorded these conversations in the lead up to this year's annual event, which is Seeds of Unlimited Success, taking place on Saturday, the 23rd of May, here in Nottingham. Now, if you don't know me, my name's Vanessa-Mary, and I'm the founder of the Seeds community. And what we're doing is I'm bringing you closer to the voices and the stories and the energy behind this year's event. So the theme of the event is Together We Rise, which is actually quite fitting for the lady or the woman, wonderful woman that I'm going to be speaking with today. Now, if you haven't yet attended the event, it isn't just a one-day event, it's an experience, okay? So I had Annette Griffin yesterday, and she described the uplifting spiritual side of the event, which I thought, oh, that's really nice to hear, because it is actually a business event. But yeah, so what we do is in that event, we're talking and we're supporting leaders to grow differently. We support them with collaboration. People get connected. We are really conscious in our leadership. So the conversations that I've had recently, like I said, it's in the lead up to that. So you'll hear from speakers, the partners that are supporting me with this, the community members, and also those who are just generally involved in the event. Now, this event is positioned for family leaders, so self-employed mums and dads, people who work together in a family business, but also we have those who support businesses like that as well. Now, what you'll hear is the behind the scenes insights, the moments. So, we shape it around powerful conversations, and I don't use a script here either. So who knows what's going to come out. But essentially, it's about the Seeds Network and our supporters giving you an opportunity to find out a little bit more about what we're doing, talking to those who are on the podcast to find out what they're doing in their business, because we are a supportive community. We really believe in innovation, and we're here to support people's growth. Now, the woman that I'm going to be bringing on today, I must say that in terms of my own journey, she's definitely got a central role in terms of me pivoting and thinking, I really want to grow. I really want to show up in a different way. How can I do that? She's a wonderful young woman. And I put it this way, when I met her online and I decided to join a networking community, she knows this story, but it was because of her energy, her welcoming vibe, that I thought, well, if all the other people are like her, then I don't mind being here. So I'm going to bring her on. Her name is Zoe Wadsworth. So I know we've got people watching today who know you, Zoe. Thank you so much for being here. So it's Zoe Wadsworth from Ask Zoe. How are you?
I'm good, lovely. I was just smiling because I remember when we then met in person in good old Nottingham, and this was just an idea, wasn't it? Small acorns grown big ideas, and it's a pleasure to still be within your network and the partnership that we've created through networking and through obviously supporting each other. But yes, I do remember that meeting fondly, attending online and I'm very honoured that you decided to join the network.
It's been life-changing, honestly. Life-changing. And like I said, you were such a good representation, because it wasn't your network. So we're talking about the 4N community. Zoe was what they call the ambassador for that particular meeting. But because you were so passionate about it, because you really wanted to show people this is a great place for you to network, and if you want to grow your business, please do come along. And that was my intention at the beginning. Zoe, we have comments coming through already. So let me just have a look. Thank you, everyone who's tuning in. It's in a different language though. Show it. However, Well, one says
It's in a different
beautiful.
language, I don't know.
It says beautiful at the end, but the first I can't read it. Please, thank you so much for your wonderful comments. If you are able to speak in English, please do write them in English for us, and I'll put them onto the screen. But Zoe, tell the audience who you are and a little bit more about what you do, please.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Zoe Wadsworth, as kindly introduced from the lovely Vanessa of Ask Zoe, and we help small independent businesses improve their marketing in terms of the results that they're generating by making it more simple. And ultimately what that means is we show people what, when and how when it comes to marketing, on that educational piece, helping them build a strategy that works around them and their business, because we are our business, small independent businesses are very much probably, running the ship themselves, or they're in that kind of growth stage about bringing suppliers and, potential teams into their business, but they're very much the decision maker, hold that whole responsibility. So my kind of approach at Ask Zoe allows them to have a little bit of that, sounding board and that kind of cheerleader in the corner in terms of showing them and navigating the world of marketing and business development, so they ultimately can show up better, start making better decisions, and start ultimately getting a better return from their efforts. So, it works all round ultimately.
And it's all true. And we're going to go back to, the way how you supported me a little bit more in this conversation. But before we do, I've just got to put this up. Look, we've got a rose, we've got a prayer. We've actually got bonjour coming through. So thank you. I like filming bonjour, who's also asking us on another bit, what is this stream about? Well, you have tuned in to a conversation where marketing for business growth is what you are going to hear. So it sounds as though you've got a business. I like filming, and I'm with the wonderful Zoe Wadsworth, who is a marketing consultant, and she also supports people with market research and other aspects. So hang around. Oh, we've got somebody else saying, what is this? Stick around. Thank you for tuning in, but stick around. So Zoe, let's get on with it then, because they're asking questions. What is it? What is it? Hello, what is this? I haven't even put it up yet. But yes, what we're talking about is we are talking to Zoe, who's a marketing consultant, and we're going to frame this conversation around the SEEDS framework. So the first part that we'll talk about, Zoe, is the S, which is strategy, which is support networking, and which is sales. And you've already touched on some of that. Oh gosh, look at this. They're making me laugh. She sells seashells on the seashore.
And if you can say that without getting tongue-tied,
yes,
you're doing really well.
You're doing really well. I love the interaction. And, we're going to have some fun on this conversation today anyway, because Zoe is celebrating 10 years in her business consultancy. So if you want to wish Zoe congratulations or ask her any questions about marketing, if you've got a business, if you're watching this and you've got a burning marketing question, this is your opportunity. But Zoe, let's go back to the beginning. Strategy. You've actually got a whole day that's got strategy in the title.
I do. we do strategy days. They are very popular. But yeah, we just love spending the day with businesses and making sure that they leave that day with a plan of action to move forward in their business that they can understand and implement themselves, first and foremost, or at least understand it. And then potentially we can help them integrate that with our suppliers or with any of our skill sets that we have at Ask Zoe. So, not one size fits all in a strategy. I think it's really important in a business to have one, especially when you're looking at your marketing, and it shouldn't, in my opinion, be treated separately. Like, you will find organizations that will look at your business strategy first, then your marketing strategy, then your financial strategy. And it goes forth. But to me, the marketing and the business should work hand in hand. And I think that's really important as well.
Excellent. We've actually got a quick question coming in here. How do I open a pound shop? Is that a real question? But actually, there are pound shops, aren't they? Just half a second. See, Zenta
They are. There are
coming
pound shops. Sean over is. There are pound shops. You see them on the high street. For I like filming, my recommendation would be to go and speak to your local authority. One, because of the retail side, potentially that shop will have, unless it's a full e-commerce retail outlet that you're looking at. Do let me know in the comments if you're looking at more of a physical shop or an online shop. But ultimately, if it is physical, there'll be things you need to consider, such as premises, such as business rates, support in that area. So it's always worth having a look at what your business support services are in your local council and community. And in terms of you'd like to specialise in car boot sales, there's different ways you can do that. You can actually do car boot sales online. A lot of people do it as a little bit like an auction, pop up live, but you have to be careful with rules such through Meta because it can be classed as gambling. Hosting something like that as well. But in terms of your car boot sales, if that combines in terms of the shop that you're after, it may be a physical form. So again, I would go and speak to your local council, because your local council will know areas, for example, that are just open plan areas you can use for car boot sales if you want to pilot something like this, everything you buy for £1. But ultimately, they'll be able to direct you best in the first instance, if that helps. I like filming.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks for that, Zoe. So I had to go off camera because if you have been following my journey, I have my little one here, Zenta. So he decided that he wanted to be in on this conversation, but not today. So thank you for that, Zoe. That sounded like a great answer to the questions that have come through. So yes, I'm speaking to Zoe Wadsworth from Ask Zoe. She's a marketing consultant and she also specializes in market research. There's some other things as well, isn't there, Zoe? I can't quite remember the other things that you do there as well.
Yeah, so market research is a part of everything that we do at Ask Zoe, whether we're teaching it on a peer-to-peer basis, which is our group coaching, through the strategy method and looking at market research on how that enhances and benefits the strategy, all the way to the flip side, as if we do one-to-one strategy, we always come and do our due diligence. And ultimately, if someone works with us more long-term, we are constantly looking at their market. We're constantly looking at that kind of external impact as well as internal, because it can really kind of change them fundamentals that we initially set out, and everything happening in the world at the minute, it is ever changing, subject to what we're trying to achieve for that business owner. So that's the reason we have like multiple levels of service, because I believe marketing should be there for the majority, not the minority.
I totally agree with you, Zoe. I mean, one of the ways that we connected is, my background was in market research, not commercially though, more for the public sector, I must say. So that's where you and I were looking at things differently. So we've got lots of things coming through here. You've got people talking about the like markets. They always wanted to run a fish and chip shop in Whitby. That sounds very ambitious. Yeah. So I was smiling at myself, because I asked Zoe's permission if I can bring my cards in, so to get some guidance from the archangels, and something flipped out and I was like, oh, I'll leave it, and then I thought, no, I'll pick it up, and it was actually the card intuition. So the angels were like, no. Yeah, the angels were like, no, that's fine. Trust your intuition and know that what seems logical may not necessarily be right. Interesting, because when we're talking about market research, I mean, for me, Zoe, when I was working in the public sector, I was very much using my logic, using data to inform strategic decisions. Actually, so I have come from a background where actually it was about numbers, it was about asking those questions to get that richer conversation. But the archangel said the answer to your question lies inside your heart. Endless possibilities exist for you. Stop trying to work it all out and feel your way through. We, your angels, will guide you. Trust your feelings. What feels right is right. So this is interesting, Zoe, because you've been in business now for 10 years. Celebration coming up. How was your
birthday today?
Oh, it's today. Oh, wow. Well, I have got dressed up.
You have? Got dressed up. Yeah. So you are officially the way I'm choosing to celebrate our business birthday.
Thank you. Well, let's go back to intuition. You know, we're still talking on the air, strategy, support network, sales. How's your intuition supported you to get 10 years in business, Zoe?
I think you have to trust your gut in business, is my experience. I think your intuition tells you when something's not right. We've had situations where we've taken on projects and contracts in the past. I mean, right, even a couple of years ago, so it's not talking 10 years ago, but literally even a couple of years ago, I said yes to something and it just didn't feel right. And I remember speaking to one of my peers and said, this just doesn't feel right. And she just reminded me to just keep tuning into that intuition. And if something doesn't feel right, it's normally for a positive, even though we feel it's negative within ourselves, because we get that feeling, you know, within our gut, and we're like, oh, do we trust it? And I'm always like, what would my nan say? My nan always used to say, trust your gut, it's your second brain. And, you know, I was in that project for about 6 months a couple of years ago, but it was the right decision to, you know, bring that project to a close amicably. But, you know, that 6 month was a difficult 6 month in terms of management of that project, and it didn't need to be. And upon reflection, I basically should have said no. My gut was telling me that that wasn't the right opportunity and didn't align with my values. You know, I'm not a numbers girl in terms of, you know, I just focus on the numbers. Yes, your numbers are important, but it's much more about that holistic and that overarching impact you know, a project has on a local community or on a local business owner. You know, it's for me, it's got to be for the greater good. And initially I thought that project was, but my gut was telling me it wasn't, and that actually turned out to be true. You know, so it's really, really important for businesses to follow that intuition, you know, and ensure that, you know, they're staying true to themselves, because, you know, business is hard. So I think if you go against your intuition, it makes it a lot harder. And, you know, your gut is there for a reason, you know, isn't it?
Second brain. Well, I love the fact that you've, because it was Zoe's idea to bring the cards in early, because I forgot to bring the cards in yesterday when I spoke with Annette. But Zoe, I published an article on Sunday, which is more or less what you're saying. I can't remember the full title. I'll look for it in a minute. But it was basically, I was driving along somewhere and I couldn't find it. I'm not even going to tell you what happened. But I did end up in the wrong place. But my intuition was saying, this is wrong, just stop. And I did stop, and I rechecked the location. But even though I was like, this doesn't feel right, it shouldn't take this long to get there. Ended up somewhere completely different. And then rather than me thinking, oh, that was a complete waste of time, I came home and I really wanted to reflect on it, turned it into an article, which was basically what you're saying. Your intuition is always giving you these signals. But if you're not listening, you're just going to end up wasting time. Well, I did, driving.
Yeah, I've had the same situation, and it was in situ with that project. Very, very similar. I was heading somewhere for that project, and it was taking me completely away from where I needed to be. And even though I knew that, I still followed the sat nav, and I literally pulled up in Rotherham of all places, and I'm like, Zoe, what are you doing? Like, you're out of the area you're meant to be. Like, why are you following when you know it's taking you in the wrong direction? And it was the correct postcode. I did all them checks. And now I look at that as maybe the universe was telling me not to go.
Yes.
It was like taking me on a different path, or making it take longer until I got there so I could actually see what was happening, a little bit of a bird's eye view. So I always say as well, with that topic of strategy and intuition, you know, you can be prepared as you can be prepared. Ultimately, you can, you know, do your homework, you can do your due diligence, but ultimately if something doesn't feel right, I would always trust that first now. And I'd like recommend anyone else to do so.
Oh, well, I'm bringing on the wonderful Vicky Bolsover, who actually knows about this story because I was writing the article on Sunday when we were on the phone together with our reading group. So Vicky wants to ask a question. I know she's tuned in especially because she wanted to catch this. So thank you, Vicky. Ask away, my dear, and I will bring it on. And thank you for tuning in. Zoe, what I've done here, because the cards are heart-shaped and they're actually quite difficult to shuffle. So I've done a different style shuffling where they're laid out in front of me. So like you said, we can set the intention early. So if you wanted to tune in to the question that's on your heart, then we can pick it up and see what guidance comes through for you. Are you ready? Do you want me to go?
Go on.
Yeah, you ready? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have a look.
Let's see you do your thing.
I'm just feeling it. Okay. Oh, that's not it. That was something about the card deck.
Is that telling us something lovely?
Forgiveness has come out.
Oh.
Forgiveness has come out.
Yeah.
So holding on to the past hurt is preventing you from moving forward and achieving your heart's desires. Let it go. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you condone another's actions. It simply means that you are no longer willing to be a perpetual victim to a particular person or event. Blame is a waste of your precious energy. Bless and surrender the past, for in doing so, you will reclaim the joy of your life. I love that. I got that last time, forgiveness. I did get that last time. Yeah. So we've got here, Vicky, I nearly forgot. I'm on a limited budget, even though I'm supposed to not mention it. What should I focus on? I think she might be referring to the conversations that we have. I don't know. What's the question there, Vicky? What's the question?
So can you give me a bit of background in terms of what Vicky does?
Vicky is she's starting out her coaching business. So she's coming into the wellbeing space, doing coaching. But I think she's focusing on Reiki. She'll correct me if I'm wrong. Reiki and other holistic therapies. So she's coming back here. I have been told about forgiveness recently, and I'll also take that on board. Yeah, we all need to. We do need to clear our energetic space. We are actually going into the next section. So we'll come back to sales a little bit more because I know you've got a lot to say about that, Zoe. But we're going to talk about the E for emotional well-being. I do want to touch about enterprise growth. So I think we can take these in tandem here because emotional well-being is very important and forgiveness is at the heart of this. Particularly if you are working in your business. Okay, there's things that we're doing as business owners, whether it may be not listening to your intuition, you continue to do something, you haven't quite learned that lesson. That's how I see it. When the intuition's still reaching out for you, you haven't quite learned that lesson. So we do need to forgive ourselves and actually clear out energetic space as well. We are getting some silly comments coming through, though, which, for anybody who's posting silly comments, to be honest, you are marketing yourself, okay? So we're in a marketing conversation and people can actually see the name of your handle here. Like show up in a positive energy, because again, everything is energy, vibration and frequency, Zoe, and people kind of forget that. I know I've gone off topic a little bit, but that's about emotional well-being. How we present ourselves, for me, is a reflection of how you're feeling as well. If you're feeling a bit silly, okay, fair enough, but you've got a handle that to me is more like a business type thing. So how are you presenting yourself? But anyway, I digress. Sorry, what have you got to say about emotional well-being and forgiveness?
I think it's really important. The forgiveness card is quite apt at the moment, particularly something that I was thinking of last night, and in terms of you know, when you find something that you've written, you know, in like 6 months' time. And I was like, I wasn't very kind to myself there, you know. And sometimes, you know, forgiveness starts with you, as you know, as you've mentioned, as well as potentially what situations have occurred potentially, or people involved. So I think forgiveness is very both ways, and helps with that energy piece, you know, within your business as well. And like I say, I can see that, yeah, Vicky is within the Reiki and energy healing. And we'll come back to your question, Vicky. So I've got a bit of top tips for you that hopefully, you know, will help at this time. But you know, it's about, yeah, it's about being open, I think, to receiving that. You know, ultimately, like Vicky's here, open to receiving that advice. That is energy, you know, it might not be forgiveness, but it's energetically, you know, she's asking for support, help, advice and guidance. It's just as important as to be open as with them questions that we're receiving today as it is open to receive forgiveness, but also to give out that, you know, and it just basically makes the world a better place. And ultimately, you know, the world's not very a happy place at the moment if you have a look at what's on the media. And I think it's important that we're all playing our part of that as well in business, you know, to ensure everything's working, you know, in harmony as best as it can.
I love that answer, Zoe, because essentially this program is called Leading with Heart. And I know that the entrepreneurs that I've interviewed, we are heart-centered business owners. And as I said in the introduction, if you didn't come on to that particular call, I don't know how you were feeling that day. And let's kind of go back, because when we met, it was we were coming out of the pandemic, and things weren't going right for you in your business, if you don't mind me saying, because it was the pandemic and, you know, you were showing up, talking, and you can share the story yourself shortly, but you were coming on to those online calls, being raw and honest and saying, look, this is what's happening with me. But the point is, you came on with a good, pure heart. Do you want to tell everybody what was happening for you at that time? So this was around what, 2021, something like that?
Yeah, it was. So obviously the first lockdown happened in 2020 and we was kind of pivoting. I wasn't very well either during parts of the pandemic. I think that were multiple of reasons ultimately, and things going on that was impacting myself, because we are our businesses, aren't we? You know, in reference to us being solo entrepreneurs. And ultimately I used to have an events business prior to March 2020, and we were pivoting to the online space. But as lockdown wasn't going away, that area of tech very much advanced. We were like 5 years ahead on a tech level then. I mean, we're light years away now, but, you know, ultimately everything moved very quickly when we realised that the world wasn't going to open up as we saw it in the initial stages. So what happened there with my business, even though I'd pivoted and adapted, was the demand wasn't there. You know, I talk about it a lot with market research and placing your business, you know, in front of your audience, but your audience have got to want to buy. And what was happening is, because there was so much tech advancements, much more cost-effective options, they simply were getting to a point where they didn't. However, because of my network and because of the community that I was in at the time, like keeping me showing up in business, helping me navigate what this is, I can very much relate to like Vicky's comment in terms of
I was just about to show it. Oh no, not that one. Where was the question? Oh, here it is. This question that Vicky got about having a limited budget in marketing.
Yeah. But because ultimately I had a limited budget, I educated people on marketing, but I wasn't actually educating myself. So kind of the first thing I looked at is, who did I know? Like, who did I know that could help me right now? And what I needed help with in that first instance was feedback. I needed people to give me feedback on what I was doing so I could ensure I was perfecting what I was now going to be, but ultimately so I could gain social proof for my marketing. I could gain like some form of income, because obviously asking for it, for help, you would offer it as at a discounted cost potentially, and it's really looking at them avenues I would recommend anybody to do, because it's what we did. I mean, for 18 months into the pandemic, we were constantly asking people, how could we help? And ultimately what came back is, well, how can I help you? And what they could help me with is to be case studies to help me perfect what I now knew this business potentially was going to be. And what that did as a result is it created momentum. It allowed me to go from one literally paying client left on the 23rd of March all the way to 75 clients, which is a 750% growth rate within 18 months. So it was difficult in 2020 and 2021, but as soon as we started to see that pivot and might overcome, that hurdle, we then started to see that kind of escalate quite rapidly up. And that was through, doing little and often, but ultimately asking for that feedback. And that feedback generated referrals. It generated, opportunities for other areas I hadn't considered. And a few people are talking about, feedback, sometimes that's uncomfortable.
Yes, I can see that comment. Yeah.
That find a way that isn't uncomfortable for you, because feedback is gold within business. And you may feel like, well, I don't need feedback. I am okay where I am and where I sit in my business profitably, commercially, whatever that is for you. But there's always room to go. There's always room to grow. The biggest successful people in this world, if you ask them, have a team to help them, and that team give them feedback every day. So it can ultimately, for me, just add success. And very much so, a 758% pivot table. It was, it was a pivot.
It was part of your story at that time, and there were so many of us. I mean, talking for myself personally, that we were in awe of what was happening for you. And I want to go back to the S of support network. What I was hearing from other people in the community, and you actually then got recognition for this, is you were supporting others with networking, because you got recognition for Networker of the Year and things like that. So to me, that was very much going back to that heart-led approach, that you were not coming at it from what's in it for me, when at the time you were actually saying, I need support with my business, but you were you were starting off like, how can I support you? And to be quite honest with you, every conversation I have with Zoe, particularly if we haven't seen each other for a while, that's the question she leads with. How can I support you? So if you're listening in on this and you're setting out in business, think about not what's in it for me, but how can I support the one that I'm speaking with? That's one thing that I've learned from Zoe. Enterprise growth. So do you want to tell us now, Zoe, how, you were in we were all in a dark place for different reasons during that time, but you were and I think, being honest, looking back, there were probably people that were going through different challenges and they just weren't speaking about it. But what I definitely admired about your approach is you were like, this is where I am right now. And you weren't letting your ego kind of and your pride tell you something else. You were keeping it real. So do you want to tell us how things have worked out for you?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I say, the people in my network joke a lot because I always say we when I'm promoting Ask Zoe. But Fab Events very much was a we. It was a business. It was a family. We had to make difficult decisions in terms of stopping employments and making a decision to go back to being a solo entrepreneur. So we had to make that decision, but we couldn't have made that decision without our network, without that enterprise we'd got behind us. Because even though events were taken, a skill set wasn't, and our network was still there to help guide the way. So that was kind of, enterprising in itself, that advice and guidance that I was given. And I recommend anybody in business to always ensure you've got that good sounding board around you to help you navigate that growth. But yeah, I basically just showed up being myself. I wear my heart on my sleeve. People could tell when I was having good days. They could tell when I was having bad days. But the one thing I've learned through networking and through mentoring is to always ask the question, so how can I help you? Because we're human beings in our own right, and we like to help. It's within our nature, and I think that solely was the reason we was able to, as it's been mentioned, to pivot to 750%, but we was able to take kind of that concept that we have, that we try to adapt into a new environment that wasn't working or that didn't have the demand there to see it be successful long term. So we re-evaluated through our network, through our enterprise again, to basically say, look, we're staying open in business. We're here to stay no matter what is happening externally. How is it that I can best help you, and what does this now look like? And being open and transparent with your entrepreneur skills and your enterprising skills, that to me is growth as you as an individual. And I still say we now, because my suppliers are a part of my team. I'll say this term in marketing: Rome wasn't built in a day, but neither was results in marketing, and it takes time. A lot of people think when they're looking at marketing the business, it happens overnight, and to me that's their ego. Like a few people have commented in the chat, I'm a millionaire. I don't really comment about that. I just say good for you.
Yes.
Because you have to acknowledge that for that person, and you have to acknowledge that for yourself as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that is allowing you to grow. That is allowing you to establish, asking for that feedback, repositioning yourself, and it ultimately grows you as a person, which will grow your business, which will grow and impact yourself, for future prosperity. Every business is different, as we can see on the chat and the comments.
Yeah, the chat's getting very interesting. So that's why I'm not actually showing it. But what I will do is I'll put Vicky's comment back up here. So Vicky says, I have also been told that being able to adapt can be key to keep in business as well. I love that. That's about being flexible, being
adaptability and flexibility. Yeah. I have a saying, Vicky, and I says, if you're not, you get stuck. And ultimately, if you get stuck, someone will overtake you. That adaptability is key.
Adaptability is key. So on my walk, actually, I was just walking with a woman who was coaching me some years ago. So it was nice to catch up, and I've written a chapter in her book, which will be published, I think, later on in the year. So I said to her, I'm not, well, it's not that I'm not where I want to be, because I am really, in the sense of like, thinking about where I was this time last year. No, things have changed. But I said to her, no, I'm going up a gear.
Yeah.
So talking about that lane. So let's talk about the second E, which is energy alignment. Because wherever we are in our business, even if you are on those low moments, you've got to, I think the mindset, the way how we show up for ourselves. For me, it was about what I was feeding myself, how I was moving my body. All of that stuff helps me to keep focus, keep that what do they call it? Motivation, so that I can get momentum in my business. Is there anything that you wanted to add there in terms of energy alignment, Zoe?
No, I just think, you've got to listen to your energy, haven't you? Energy's key. You are your business. If your cup's not filled, how can you fill someone else's? Ultimately, if you think about a tea party, ultimately, it runs out. The pot of tea runs out if we're not continually filling it up. Because by continually filling up your energy and how you are feeling is helping you serve more people, so it's really important to ensure that you're looking after yourself first, and being kind to yourself as well.
Yeah, definitely be kind to yourself. It is the key. So Zoe, we're now going to talk about the D, which we're going to talk about the deeper discovery. And this week, I noticed on one of your videos, you were talking to people about case studies. And I think, I can't remember, I think I replied, but what I wanted to do was go back in and show the case study that I gave you. And I don't think I did that part because my brain went off somewhere else. But deeper discovery, I know that you've just mentioned to someone who commented on the chat that they didn't really like to get feedback. But what do you think the feedback does for us in our business? Even if you think about this in a marketing perspective, when we go deeper, how does that support us?
It supports you by giving you information, ultimately. Data is key, provides you information to decide on what to do next. And, feedback allows you to ensure that you're delivering on your purpose. You're delivering on your promise. You're delivering on what you've basically set out to do. It's one of the reasons we always ask for a review. It's one of the reasons we always say, would you like your business spotlighted for feedback? So people can see your business. It's more, yes, to show that experience of working with ourselves, but for me it's to spotlight you. That's why I always backlink to, like for Vanessa, I think I backlink to your LinkedIn profile. For like Lisa Taylor, I've backlinked to her website. It's to ensure that it does what it says on the tin, but benefits you as a business owner from sharing your experiences. And to me, that not only benefits my business, it benefits you, it benefits the person who's looking for someone like you or looking for someone like me to work with. So it's multiple beneficial, I believe.
No, I love it. So I think when we're talking about feedback, there's so many different ways that we can be asking for feedback. You even said on a post a few weeks ago, I think you were talking about Google reviews, if I remember that post correctly.
Yeah.
And I commented to that post and said, oh my goodness, it's something I'm not quite in the habit of. So, going deeper on. And obviously, don't be, I'm not talking to Zoe here, but anybody listening in, don't be upset if you do get feedback that is not like what you expected. Like literally go deeper on that and think about, how can I learn from this? What am I being asked to reflect on? What am I being asked to improve? But do you just want to give us some ideas on how we can get that quick feedback from people, please, Zoe?
Yeah, you can ask the question. So a good question to ask is to sum up one word. How would you describe you feel after working with Vanessa-Mary? And they will give you a word or a statement. Normally, as humans, we like to explain. So we can give one word as statements, but we tend to explain why as well. That's nothing stopping you from just saying to them at the end, can I just capture that into a social media post? Would you mind sharing that within my Google review? Would you mind if I shared that? Because that's really impactful and it's something that we can use. Also, a little bit of an extra top tip is if someone does leave you feedback on Google, something the people that I work with within digital marketing told me to do, and that's going into the post and responding about the service that they had. So if someone came to me and had a strategy day and gave feedback, I would respond and say, thank you very much, really pleased to hear that, look forward to seeing your success following a one-to-one strategy day. That's a really quick, free way you can up your SEO within your reviews to be found for that particular phrase or service. So it's really important to get this feedback quickly, promptly, efficiently, however you want to word it. But then we do something with it. We share it, but then we also do something with it to benefit actually our business as well. And that's a really quick top tip. That's normally why I say always ask them to leave that feedback that they've given verbally on Google, because then strategically you can do something beneficial with that to give thanks, which is energy, but also to give something strategic that helps benefit your marketing. You know, I remember Sarah and Pierre coming to work with me because they found me through that method, because
Wow.
what they were searching for, they couldn't find. They'd already got all the ducks in the row. They just needed somebody to tell them, was it the right ducks? Was it the right strategy for them and their business? And it was, because they opened up their business, and within their first 2 weeks, they made their 2 years within that period of time. It just went off the chart. It went viral, and it's still going viral. Now, no, that doesn't happen with every business, but when it does, it's such a pleasure to see. And all they did was give me feedback verbally. I've transferred that feedback verbally into content, and now they've quietened down a little bit. They've got a team now. They're still busy, but they're managing that. They've now given me a review on Google, so I'm now able to give thanks in a strategic and an energetic way to ensure that it has multiple benefits. That's feedback. When people say, I don't give feedback, I don't like feedback, I'll always argue the point. Why not? It's when someone says to me they don't like market research, I'll always say, why not? Because it's so beneficial to a business, commercially, impactfully, and energetically. So why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't be open to receiving that?
No,
I
totally agree.
Is that the saying? I can't remember. Is it closed minds don't get fed? I can't remember.
So no, it's saying, yeah. I can't remember. I think it is actually, but we've got a question. Well, it's more of a statement from Vicky. I have been told to do a questionnaire as well and ask questions to prospective clients about your services and what they are looking for. I think she might mean she might mean her services, but what they are looking for, yes, because it's all about what they want ultimately, isn't it?
Yeah, people buy on want, not need. And it's really important, I think, Vicky, that you get some feedback on what people are looking for. And ultimately, if you've got somebody who is in the healing space, maybe you can ask them if they can, are you part of, for example, any communities within Reiki and healing, and would the person who set up that community mind you sharing, that survey to get some market feedback? Tap into your network, tap into the audience that have an interest for what you do, because they will give you that feedback you're looking for on what to offer first, potentially, or what to offer next, or what to potentially introduce if you've not considered it. One of the top things to ask when you're asking for feedback is a question that's so underrated, but it's so powerful. And is there anything else I can do for you? Is there anything else you would need that I could potentially deliver, or know someone who can? It's that added value question. So when you're asking a questionnaire, it's really important to include that, because it's just saying to them, is there anything I've not considered yet that you would want to see? Is there anything you would like to see introduced to the Seeds of Unlimited Success Summit that's not already being provided?
Powerful.
One of them things I've already thought of, and I've already put Vanessa in front of somebody to potentially have that conversation next year. And it's a lady who offers children's services and creche services at events. So families can come and bring their children even more so, and feel more comfortable to do it, because it's not just an event, it's an experience, as you've said. It's always thinking and being open to that feedback, to ensure it's received and actually you do something with it. Because the people who don't like feedback tend to very much do this.
Closed ears, yeah.
No, I experience.
I absolutely love that. And what I wanted to add is I've started to give LinkedIn reviews rather than just leaving comments on somebody's post. So particularly if I've heard them do a talk, for example, I'm getting into the habit of giving them a review, because it's going to stay on their timeline
Yeah.
And actually, when it's an energy exchange. If you spend 5 minutes giving somebody a review, particularly if they did touch your heart, you did learn something from them, you did find it valuable, then actually you've left your mark on their timeline as well, on that review, rather than it just being a comments that are going to get lost once the algorithm moves. The review is going to stay there, and that's going to stay with them as their
And I'll just tell you a thing that's happened today is a perfect example of that. I've shared a post on my LinkedIn business profile. One of my clients has commented saying, "This is the lady that I've been mentioning to you, like, and tag these two people, go and check out, LinkedIn recommendations, because he's done exactly that." So it can be beneficial. It might not happen straight away. Feedback, it does not mean someone leaving feedback is you're going to get a sale straight away, or someone's going to send feedback and go, "Oh my God, I've been looking for your services." But what it is what Vanessa's just mentioned. It's there to stay. People can look back on it. People can refer to it. It benefits you and them. And that's the energetic, exchange as well. So it's really important to remember that feedback isn't just, an additional task to do within your business. It actually can be very beneficial and very lucrative long term.
Yeah, because we are talking about the long term. So before we start wrapping up, let's just bring it back to the short term, Zoe, which is about the long term, because anybody listening into this conversation, I've known Zoe for nearly 5 years now. I met her by joining they're not an online network, but they were networking online at that point. So I met her online. We don't live in the same area, but we've established a friendship over the last 5 years. We've supported each other. I've attended Zoe's strategy day. Zoe, I wanted to actually show the diagram. And it was on the wall in front of me where I was working downstairs, but then it fell off and I put it into a folder and I can't find it at this moment. But again, just a simple visual, because I do believe that is what I'm doing now. I don't know if you can remember my little diagram, what I drew.
I can, my dear. I can.
My stick men.
Your stick men. Well, the top tip is, I was like, make sure you have yourself in it. Make sure Vanessa's one of them stick men.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's all coming through, and it does take time. But one of the things that I wanted to say, we're going to talk about systems and operations before we close out here, which is the last S. But because of nurturing relationships, friendships, showing up, being, I'm getting comments about having a lovely smile. Thank you very much. But being open, being friendly, doing what Zoe said here and what I've learned from Zoe, asking people, how can I help you? Yeah. Then actually, when you find that you need that support, the support will come. So I am so just honored and very grateful to actually explain that this year Zoe is coming onto our program as our Masterclass Programme Partner, which means I'm doing the masterclasses again, as always, but Zoe essentially is the sponsor for that section. So thank you so much for that, Zoe. I really do appreciate, you were on the program in the first year, 2024, but the fact that you wanting to support me again and come back, it does mean the world to me. So thank you very much for that.
No, definitely. It's a partnership, isn't it, lovely? And that's what it's about. People doing well together and people doing good, and same energies, same positivities, all for that great impact. And that's definitely something I know that's that radiates from you, and it's a pleasure to be involved. And I know you're supporting our awards, obviously, towards the end of the year as well. And, this partnership will just grow. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're going to make it.
Thank you for allowing me to come along today. Big thank you for all the comments as well. Because
the comments have been lovely.
It really helps with that engagement piece and getting more eyes and ears onto Vanessa and myself. So we really do appreciate how engaged everyone's been.
Yeah,
so thank you for that.
So yeah, we're making a big announcement on Saturday the 23rd. I was actually looking at my little how would you call it, like the agenda last night. So
Yeah.
as you know, I'm putting the program together.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're not going to give any giveaways here, but there will be a big announcement coming from Zoe and myself on Saturday, the 23rd of May in Nottingham. So Zoe, how do we grow a business for 10 years? I mean, I'm finding this myself. It is about the systems and operations. We're
Yeah.
nothing if we're just going to show up and do our marketing and then do our delivery. And then when we come home, it's all a big mess, or get back to the office, it's all a big mess.
Yeah.
So, as we close out here today, do you just want to share some of your tips around systems and operations, please?
The one thing I will say is winging it only gets you so far. If you are a genuine person with good energy as well, that will always help you along the way. But like guesswork and winging it only helps you in the beginning. So you've really got to be thinking about the business, the systems and the processes, how that potential business operates if you're not there.
Yeah.
You know, because someone said that to me once, if your business can't operate, if you're not within it, is it a business? Now, I always used to challenge that argument because I do agree to a degree. But also I do believe, you know, some businesses don't have that choice. But then I was introduced to lots of systems and processes that I could implement, sometimes for free, sometimes for a small investment, to help me get to that point of growth and probably help me get to that point of kind of investment as well. Because if I'm honest, we didn't really invest into the business up until 2022. And that was because of the impact of the pandemic wiping out the income, having to liquidate the limited events company because of the impact of that pandemic, all them kind of cost implications to ensure that you're still able to legally be here and legally operate as a business owner, and, you know, navigating that time. So from really the rebrand from 2022, that's probably where we've really looked into the business over the past 4 years and been thinking about systems, processes. Can the business work without us? You know, what is it that we need to invest in and what is it that we need to do ourselves? So above anything, make sure you're reviewing your systems and processes. Make sure that you're investing in a way that feels comfortable, you know, that still gives you that profit that you need to keep the food on the table, for example, at the end of the month. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with the correct suppliers. I'm very fortunate that I have done that, and I'm also very fortunate that those that don't align with me no longer do. You know, you've got to really stay true to yourself when you're picking these suppliers, these systems, these processes, to make sure that, you know, it works for you, you know. And if it doesn't work for you, I'll always say to you, what's the point? You know,
Yes.
and that's to everything in the decisions that you make. So really think about the systems and the process side. Really think about the suppliers that you're using, making sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people, not just everyone. And ultimately be open to that feedback, be open to that advice, and then people, then mentors, then peers who will help you navigate, you know, along the way. And ultimately, hopefully you'll have that, you know, 10-year anniversary, you know, that we're celebrating today. You know, that's what we want for everybody, you know, who's got a good reputable business and is, you know, here to last. So it's, you know, been a pleasure to chat and celebrate the 10th birthday.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zoe.
Thank you for all the engagement in the comments as well.
Definitely. And before we wrap up, Zoe will be doing a workshop herself on Saturday, the 23rd of May in Nottingham. Did you just want to tell us about that workshop? I know it's one of your most popular workshop titles.
Yeah, so it's all about kind of your messaging and how, you know, that can really benefit in terms of customer retention and your why. So if you are a business owner and you feel like your why isn't transparent through your messaging and what you do and isn't really impacting in a positive way with your customer retention and referrals and recommendations, then that kind of masterclass is for you to come and kind of learn a different perspective and a different approach, because a lot of people talk about marketing being inbound and outbound, but I'll always say there's a third dynamic, and that's customer retention and looking at your customer retention strategy. So it all works hand in hand. So really looking forward to delivering that masterclass for you, a part of the programme sponsor on the 23rd of May in Nottingham.
Oh, excellent. Well, we've got some people that are saying they're coming. So what we're going to do is I will leave the link for the event in the chat. You're not going to see it straight away, unfortunately, because I do need to go. I need to actually head off and give somebody a lift here. But when I get back, I will leave that link. So thank you so much to everybody who's been tuning in with your comments, the funny ones, the ones that I'm a bit like, I'm not putting that on the on the live stream, but thank you for
someone said I've had an out-of-body experience watching this. All I can say is good for you.
Oh, okay. And they stay till the end anyway, so I think we've been educational and entertaining, Zoe, so that's good news.
Well,
Zoe,
that is your 2 of your 3 E's, lovely, within your marketing and content, so it must be doing something right.
Brilliant. Zoe, thank you so much. Oh, we've got Ernest just coming through here. This was I'm going to put it on. Ernest, you and I are supposed to be speaking at 2 o'clock, but I feel like I'm going to be late. This was another exciting session with excellent presentation from Zoe. Thank you. Zoe, I cannot wait.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you will be speaking to Ernest at some point. He has been such a super part of the Seeds community. Well, I'm calling it the Seeds Collective now, Zoe, in terms of those that are helping me behind the scenes. So, Zoe, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your birthday celebration. Thank you for being such an inspirational woman in business and being so supportive and encouraging to others, myself included. I can't wait to spend time with you. It's just a few weeks now, so we'll be taking more selfies.
We will. And if anyone wants to come and meet me in person to see if we're as nice as we come across on screen, you are more than welcome, but you've got to buy your ticket.
Yeah, buy your ticket.
Limited success, so we'll have to see you there, won't we?
We'll see you there, but a lovely lunch is included. I always say this to people. Zoe, thank you so much for your time, my darling. Everybody else, thank you for tuning in. I'm not going to do another live stream this week. I think we've got one planned next week. I think it's Ernest next week, actually. So thanks, everyone. See you soon. Bye.